I want to, first of all, welcome Sir Richard Branson once again and the other ministers visiting from Caribbean islands, those representing their respective governments, and you distinguished visitors who have come from far and near to participate in this event. I want to thank Sir Richard Branson for the support he has given St. Martin in hosting this event, but also his leadership role worldwide in ensuring the conservation of sharks. The event here today is an important one, and we were happy to hear about the sanctuaries that are already established in different regions, particularly of the Caribbean, as we look forward to being a global leader in bringing awareness to the need for more shark sanctuaries around the world. We have come to believe, some of us who have lived in the ignorance of what the reality of sharks are to our ecosystem and our environment. We have come to believe that sharks are bad, sharks are dangerous, and sharks are things we should kill before they kill us. But from presentations here today and what we have heard in the past, we want to spread the word that the preservation of sharks and the protection of sharks is so important. Millions are killed around the world every year for, in a certain sense, very small economic benefit. Yes, it's a lucrative business for those who have embarked on it, but when we look at the impact killing a shark has compared to the impact it has in keeping them alive, we say it is time to put a permanent stop to it. St. Martin in 2012 had announced a shark sanctuary for 10 years, and before that 10-year period is even up, St. Martin has decided to extend it actually indefinitely. We hope to work on completing legislation to ensure that there is a formal ban to it, and in so doing joining other Caribbean countries and nations that have already done so. So I want to thank those who have participated and will continue to participate throughout today and tomorrow for their contributions that they have made and for the contributions that they will continue to make. I thank you.
I first of all would like to express my gratitude for a warm hospitality from the government of St. Martin, and also the organizers for inviting Grenada to this very important forum. In Grenada at present, we do not have any ban on sharks, but right now we are considering putting a ban on it because we know the importance of it, or we could see the importance, contrary to the tales where it was us and them. We realize the importance of managing the oceans because we do not have the capacity to go in the water and manage these things ourselves. So we look at the sharks as a helping hand in helping us manage our ecosystem. Recently, just a few weeks ago, Grenada launched the blue economy. because we realize that our island is small, about 133 square miles, and our ocean space is over 10 times that. And if it's managed properly, it would benefit us all. And us all meaning not only Grenada, but us as a region, because our islands are so close and we're very interdependent on everyone. So we would like to work closely with all our neighbors and manage our marine systems, our reefs, the fisheries, because it's also part of our zero hunger initiatives, which was launched a couple of years ago. And we know the importance of fish for food, protein, and like some people would say that the shark takes a lot of that, but what we realize is that the sharks give us a healthy environment of fish so that we get the healthy ones and they all strive. So we are working with organizations like Pew so that very soon we would have the appropriate legislation in place so that we could protect our sharks. Thank you.
I represent the Minister of Environment and Nature of Curaçao. Sorry. As I said before, I'm very honored to be here in St. Martin, thanks to Mr. Branson and the Prime Minister of St. Martin. About shark conservation, for us in Curaçao, it's a brand new is something brand new for us, because Curaçao, as you know, is a part of the Dutch Caribbean and is currently working on several positive initiatives relating to marine protection management. MOU with the Wade Institute has been signed in Curaçao, and also a joint project called Blue Hello Curaçao is currently on the way to draft and implement an ocean policy plan. A project is well on the way to designate a large part of Curaçao waters as a marine protected area, including control measures, management authority, and budget. And also a law proposal has been drafted to implement some no-take zones. As you know, globally, 100 million sharks are killed each year in commercial fisheries. As a result, about a third of shark species are headed toward extinction. This is troubling because sharks play an incredibly important role in our ecosystem, maintaining the balance of the marine food web. Curaçao has a proud history of conserving the marine environment and serving the marine tourism industry and local fishermen. Protecting sharks will fit in with this tradition, support local industry, and preserve our marine environment for the enjoyment of current and future generations too. In the framework of the Blue Hello Curaçao, and in cooperation with the Pew Charitable Trust, this summer, the government of Curaçao intends to begin the work on comprehensive marine conservation legislation, very important for us, that will include safeguards for the sharks. Curaçao, we are proud to be part of the broader effort in the Dutch Caribbean to be global leaders in shark conservation. I thank you all.
Hello and greetings from the Cayman Islands. I'm very pleased to be able to deliver this video message on behalf of the Government of the Cayman Islands to all participants in this regional marine conservation symposium, as well as to media covering this event. I would like to thank the Government of St. Martin, and in particular Minister Arundel, for their kind invitation. Unfortunately, I am unable to be there in person due to pressing commitments here at home. On Earth Day, April 22nd, 1 year ago, the relevant sections of the recently enacted National Conservation Law, which gives full protection to all species of sharks and rays in Cayman waters, was brought into force. The definition of Cayman waters includes our exclusive economic zone. So if one thinks about the Cayman Islands' geographic location in the Western Caribbean, it can be appreciated that this means there is a fair portion of the ocean where these extremely important animals are now safe. I would now like to take some time to briefly share the specific provisions of our legislation, as I'm aware that some of you may be wondering whether our law actually has any teeth. The first thing to note in this regard is that our national conservation law makes it an offense for anyone who is not permitted under the law to take or permit another person to take a shark or ray, have a specimen of a shark or ray in his or her possession or control, offer a shark or ray or any part of a shark or ray for sale, exchange, or donation, purchase a shark or ray or any part of a shark or ray. Now, to fully appreciate the extent of these protections, it's also important to understand that the definition of take under the law is extremely broad and includes hunting, injuring, disturbing, harassing, and impeding in any way, as well as attempting to do so, and includes incidental taking. The maximum penalty for violating the law is a fine of Cayman Islands dollars 500,000, a 4-year term of imprisonment, and the seizure of any vessel, vehicle, or equipment used in the commission of the offense. Additionally, the National Conservation Law provides a small but dedicated 8-person team of Department of Environment conservation officers with all the powers they need to enforce the law. Another important facet of our shark protection strategy will be the development of the species conservation plan required for all species listed on the schedules of the National Conservation Law. For the past 18 months, our Department of Environment and their project partner, Marine Conservation International, have been working hard under the auspices of a UK-funded Darwin Plus initiative to collect biological and other data to feed into the development of a shark conservation plan. And we expect to receive the first draft of the plan within the next several months. Last Saturday, despite the very rainy weather we were experiencing here in Cayman, our Department of Environment and Marine Conservation International held a very successful event, Sharky Fest, to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of these significant achievements. The event was well attended by a cross-section of the community, including school children, and featured educational and informative talks about sharks and the work of the Department of Environment and Marine Conservation International on sharks in Cayman. Given that the Cayman Islands had an active fishery for shark hides during the 1930s and periodically up until the 1950s, I'm very proud to have been able to shepherd this landmark legislation for the conservation of sharks, as well as many other species of our native flora and fauna, through our Legislative Assembly. Because of the great economic and social importance of our valuable marine environment, and I'm sure we have this in common with many countries in this region, I will also be bringing forward proposals to enhance and future-proof our national system of marine parks. These proposals were developed by our Department of Environment with colleagues from Bangor University in the UK and the Nature Conservancy under the auspices of a UK-funded Darwin Initiative project to comprehensively assess our current system of marine parks. They called for the protection of between 40 and 50% of the shallow shelf areas around our islands. Over the last 30 years, our marine parks have served us well, preserving marine life in the Cayman Islands for residents and tourists alike to enjoy. But we live in a different world today. The threats are real and growing, and we must respond if we are to protect our fragile marine environment for future generations. Our government's goal is the conservation of nature, not just as an end in itself, but in recognition of the tight linkages and interdependencies of a healthy natural environment and the health and welfare of our people today and in the future. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share some of our recent achievements as well as some of our plans for the near future. I wish you every success with the remainder of the symposium.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Prime Minister Marlin, for your kind welcome and your kind words. Good morning. Well, I'm very inspired to be here among government leaders and NGOs who are securing the future of the oceans by enacting bold policies that protect one of the ocean's most important but vulnerable species, sharks and rays. Scientists tell us that sharks and rays are being slaughtered at twice the rate they can reproduce. With so many species headed for extinction, the time is ripe for bold action to protect them. My home, the British Virgin Islands, of course the most beautiful islands in the Caribbean, sorry, became a shark sanctuary in 2014. This means that throughout the entire exclusive economic zone, sharks are completely protected from commercial fishing and trade. The BVI followed the Bahamas, which became the Caribbean's first shark sanctuary in 2011. I'm so pleased to see governments from across the Caribbean following this lead. Last year, I joined many of the governments in attendance today for a shark conservation event in Bimini, Bahamas. There, a number of us urged government attendees to return to their respective jurisdictions and enact shark sanctuaries. Bonaire and Sabre did just that in late 2015, and today I want to formally commend them for the work to protect sharks. I also want to formally congratulate St. Martin in joining with the BVI, the Bahamas, Sabre, Bonaire, and the Caymans for announcing their shark sanctuaries today. With more and more jurisdiction protecting their sharks, each year we're getting closer to the reality of a Caribbean regional shark sanctuary. I've had the great fortune to swim with the sharks and rays of this region, and I want to ensure they're here for my grandchildren and future generations to enjoy as well. Today I'm calling on the remaining Caribbean governments to follow the lead of my friends here today and to work to fully protect sharks via sanctuaries. And I look forward to seeing what they've accomplished for sharks in a year or two from now. Africa wouldn't be the same without the lions. Our oceans would not be the same without sharks and rays. Thank you very much. Cheers.
And thank you again to the St. Martin government for so kindly co-hosting this meeting here with us. Today's actually a monumental day. Never before have 4 shark sanctuaries been announced on one day. There will be the 13th, 14th, 15th and 16th such sanctuaries in the world, and it really is incredible to see this progress. I think it's clear that world leaders really are now realizing the key role that sharks play in keeping healthy ocean ecosystems, and that they're worth far more alive, especially as a tourism resource in places like this. It's hugely encouraging to see that the world is waking up to the fact that these species really do need to be protected and are worthy of the same status and protection that's often afforded to turtles, whales, and other kind of charismatic marine animals that can derive real tourism revenue for a country. So, as I said, it's an incredible day, and to see these announcements here is incredibly encouraging. In the Pew Charitable Trusts, we'll be working with all governments and interested parties moving forward to hopefully establish a regional sanctuary throughout the Caribbean to properly protect these species. Detail. Sharks are caught throughout the Caribbean. Trinidad is one of the biggest catchers in the region, big catcher and exporter of shark products. That over 50% of the world's shark fins, when they're exported, end up in Hong Kong, and that's true for this region as well as anywhere else. So there are major catching countries, but I think there's a growing recognition that for many countries, especially those that have high levels of dive tourism or snorkel tourism, that these species are actually worth more alive rather than killed for their fins.
Enforcement, particularly in smaller jurisdictions, and St. Martin is considered, a small jurisdiction with a very small population. Enforcement has always been, across the board, a problem in small countries like ours. But of course, it is the intention. You can't just put legislation out there and then walk away from it. We have people like Tazio and others who have been, since their return to the country after their studies abroad, have been not only helping to enforce in other areas of nature preservation and fighting to preserve our environment and protect nature. So it's a matter of, besides legislation, putting the tools to enforce the legislation that we have put in place.
perhaps it's also an idea. You can enforce something, but perhaps it's better to actually educate the consumers, the fishermen, traders, about the importance of sharks in the ecosystem.
Yes, of course.
Part of your agreement that there should be more education on the importance
Of course, education, like I've said here today, for what we have, well, for me personally, what I've heard this morning, and the testimonies by those who have been swimming with sharks and experiencing sharks, like the former commissioner from SABRE, Chris Johnson, who have had experiences, and in a certain sense, life-changing experiences. People look at sharks as if they are man's worst enemy. Sharks are man-eaters, while in essence it is just the other way around. So it is something that we need to educate our people. Our governor has left, but he, for instance, in his brief remarks this morning said that he still rather stay away from the sharks and stay on land. And of course, that's everybody's choice. I am not saying that I'm ready to take a plunge tomorrow morning and experience the wildlife of sharks, but I think we need to sensitize our children, our adults, but more so as well the business people. When we hear what takes place in other Caribbean destinations, like the representative from Trinidad spoke about, or from Grenada, the difficulties that it would pose because of the financial gain that others have there, and would tell you, basically it becomes a political fight. Once you can convince people that you can have financial gain and financial benefits as well, not only as individuals, but as the country at large and the region by extension, I think we would be heading in the right direction. So it is not just legislation and enforcement, but a great deal of education goes a long way. And I think the Caribbean, and by symposia like this, meetings like this, and with the support of people like Sir Richard Branson, making events like these possible as well. And the media taking part in uncertain terms in spreading the word. We believe that in the next few years, the Caribbean region would be a global leader in the conservation of sharks. We have a big fight and a big battle when we look at some of the other regions, like in Asia, where it is not only big business, but as long as people believe that by eating sharks, you live longer, you live healthier, you get stronger, and all the other benefits that I think eating shark and shark-related supplements, I think it's a challenge, but a challenge we all should be prepared to take on as Caribbean.
Yes?
I'm surprised because you just talked about the Caribbean zone, and the island is very small, and I see nobody representing the French side.
It would not be in my place to actually say why they are here or why they are not here. I'm not sure to what extent, because the Minister of Economic Affairs has been the ministry spearheading this, and last minute she had to make a decision as to whether stay here or attend an important meeting overseas where important discussions are going on, actually as we speak right now, with attracting major airlift to St. Martin as well. So she has asked me, to sit in on some of these activities for her, but I'm sure members of her staff would be able to indicate whether they have been invited or not. I would see no reason why they have not been invited. And the remarks made by the representative of Anguilla earlier during our morning session as actually Anguilla representing the English part of St. Martin, because you cannot divorce St. Martin, North and South, and Anguilla from each other. And interestingly, you have part of the Dutch Kingdom, part of the French Republic, and part of the British territories, all basically in one pond. What affects St. Martin, North or South, affects Anguilla, what affects Anguilla. And you can't get to Anguilla most of the times without going through St. Martin. If you're coming from, countries like the UK and Europe, you land in St. Martin, you got to go take a ferry or a smaller aircraft to get to Anguilla. And the French side, you got to cross the border. So it would be kind of awkward to have St. Martin protecting sharks and the French side not doing so. But I'm not here to speak neither in defense nor in attack of them. It's just that I do not have the information.
So in the interest of time, we'll just take one more brief question. Sure.
Actually, I would have loved to ask the question of Mr. Branson. His involvement in shark conservation. On the other hand, by 2020, the Virgin Group will enter as a player into the cruise industry. Is it possible to square that with each other? And what is the effect of putting more vessels in the water on the shark population?
Okay.
Yes, I obviously can't speak on behalf of Mr. Branson. However, the major threat to sharks is overfishing. It's overfishing in targeted fisheries and bycatch that's driving these species towards extinction worldwide. There are lots of other factors, including habitat loss and other marine activities that can impact on them. But the thing that's going to impact them the most, that's driving them towards extinction, is overfishing. And it's therefore fisheries legislation and controls and wider marine conservation action like protected areas that's what's going to save them.